fresh challenges to President Trump's court-frozen immigration order took shape Monday, with two former secretaries of state claiming the White House was undermining national security, and nearly 100 Silicon Valley tech companies arguing it will keep the best minds from coming to America. The powerful new voices were at it, with another legal showdown coming as early as Monday. The suspension of the order, meanwhile, has allowed those previously banned more time to try to reach the United States. A decision Sunday by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit preserved a lower judge's order to temporarily halt the ban, and based on a schedule the court outlined, the stop will remain in place at least until sometime on Monday. The Justice Department said it would not elevate the dispute to the Supreme Court before that. Trump responded to the development Sunday by writing on Twitter that he had instructed Homeland Security to check people coming into our country very carefully. A Department of Homeland Security spokeswoman did not immediately return messages seeking comment on how, practically, that screening would be implemented. "Just cannot believe a judge would put our country in such peril," Trump wrote. "If something happens, blame him and court system. People pouring in. Bad." Trump further came to the defense of his stalled order Monday. In a tweet, Trump dismissed as fake news various polls showing solid opposition to the executive order. "Sorry," Trump wrote. "People want border security and extreme vetting. The next few days will be telling for the future of the president's executive order." The states of Washington and Minnesota, which are challenging the ban, asked the appeals court in the wee hours of Monday to keep the ban suspended, and Justice Department lawyers have until 6 p.m. to respond. The court will then schedule a hearing or rule whether the ban should remain on hold. In the meantime, people who had been stranded in legal limbo rushed to fly back to the United States. Some successfully reunited with family members, while others, particularly those whose visas were physically taken or marked as invalid, ran into roadblocks trying to board planes overseas. At Dulles International Airport in Northern Virginia on Sunday, immigration lawyers could be heard on phones, arguing with airline representatives to let their passengers board, as some seemed confused over the various court rulings and what they meant. What lies ahead is likely to be a weeks-long battle that will be waged in courtrooms across the country over whether Trump's ban can pass legal muster. Federal courts in New York, California and elsewhere have blocked aspects of the ban from being implemented, although one federal judge in Massachusetts declared that he did not think that challenges had demonstrated that they had a high likelihood of success. The lawsuits now stretch from D.C. to Hawaii, and the number seems to grow regularly. The Trump administration has been steadfast in its support of the executive order, which it says is necessary for national security, and the president himself tweeted repeatedly his disdain for the judge in Washington state who put a stop to it. The opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned, Trump wrote Saturday. In an interview with Bill O'Reilly of Fox News that aired Sunday afternoon, Trump insisted that the initial implementation of his order was very smooth and said misleadingly that you had 109 people out of hundreds of thousands of travelers, and all we did was vet those people very, very carefully. That does not take into account the tens of thousands of people who could not travel because their visa was revoked. Nor does it acknowledge those who were taken out of the country after their plane landed. The Department of Homeland Security said Saturday that because of Robarts' ruling, it was suspending enforcement of the executive order entirely, and the State Department restored the visas that had been provisionally revoked. Advocates encouraged travelers from the affected countries who qualified for entry to get on planes as soon as possible because of the unpredictable legal terrain. Early Sunday, the Justice Department asked the appeals court to intervene, asserting that it was improper for a lower court to engage in second-guessing of the president's judgment on a national security matter. It is somewhat unusual for a district judge to issue an order that affects the entire country, but Robart, who was nominated by President George W. Bush and has been on the bench since 2004, said it was necessary to follow Congress' intention that the immigration laws of the United States should be enforced vigorously and uniformly. He was quoting from a 2015 appeals court ruling that had blocked Obama's executive action that would have made it easier for undocumented immigrants in this country to remain. It was never implemented because of legal challenges.